Welcome to Shape Up Your Website, a program designed to help you improve the fitness of your website. Today's topic is Audit Your Website. My name is Lorraine and I own a marketing and web design company called Roundpeg. But today I'm going to be your web fitness coach. This presentation is part of a 5-day program on how to shape up your website. Each of the presentations are completely self-contained and they do stand alone, but they also work together as a comprehensive overview on how to improve your website. So let's get started. When was the last time you looked at your website? I mean, really looked at it, the way a customer might, experiencing it for the first time. If you're like lots of business owners, the answer is probably that it's been a while. Maybe even as long ago as when you launched this version of your website. And I'm going to tell you that's too long. And so today I'm going to talk about 5 different elements that you should be looking at as you're viewing your website, from design and content to conversion opportunities, search and SEO, and control. So let's get started. Design. We start here because first impressions matter. If your website doesn't look good, people are not going to hang around. They are not going to dive in and find out what you really have to say. And so look at your website and be honest. Look at it and then go look at your competitors and look at other websites that your customers are likely to be visiting. And accept the fact that if your website is more than 2 years old, it's probably outdated. That's a tough thing for business owners to get their heads around because websites are also expensive. And so as you're planning your next web update, you want to be sure that you invest in a platform that will be flexible and grow and allow you to make small enhancements over time. Why is 2 years a lifetime? All you have to do is look at this graphic showing you the evolution of technology and how rapidly technology has changed in the last 1,000 years, the last 50 years, and even think about how different your cell phone is today from how it was 5 or 7 years ago. And that acceleration of technology is going to continue, and it's going to impact every part of your life and every part of your business. It's going to impact your website. Today, 56% of traffic comes from mobile devices. That's a huge shift from even just a few years ago. And so, given the fact that more than half the visitors to your site are going to be coming from mobile phones, is your website truly responsive? And mobile adaptive is not acceptable. This is an example of a website that looks great on desktop and looks very pretty on mobile, but it's completely unuseful. I can't actually read any of the text without stretching the screen. And while it isn't that hard to do, I'm going to tell you that it's not practical. And people used to mobile responsive sites will hit a site like this and simply walk away. Good design. Good design is now mobile first. So what does that mean? It means that you actually have to think about what your website is going to look like on a mobile device and then worry about desktop. One of the things that happens in mobile responsive design is some things, like my title image, get smaller, and some things, like these 2 columns, well, one has to go on top and one has to go on the bottom. And this is really hard for people to get comfortable with because we are used to websites being able to present a ton of choices. But that's not how mobile responsive websites work. Today, you have to pick a favorite child. You have to decide What is the first thing someone is going to see? Because vertical hierarchy matters. And to make a truly functional vertical site, you have to think about the structure. Really looking at how do you present information? What do people see first? What's your first call to action? What comes next? And then next, and next, and next. Planning this out page by page is tedious and time-consuming and often involves a lot of arguing because different people in your organization may want to feature different things. But at the end of the day, if you don't do this well, your customers won't be able to find what they're looking for. Other design issues that can really turn off prospective visitors: rotating banners with multiple images and multiple messages. Really, this doesn't turn off visitors as much as it shoots you in the foot. This was a compromise to people who could not make a decision as to what would be on that first row, so they put everything there. But let's face it, people, nobody hangs around for all the rotations. So pick a favorite child, take the other banners and put them on other relevant pages. Any kind of autoplay video or auto track, there should be no sound coming from your website unless I turn it on. Slow loading pictures. If your images are not properly sized and they take too long to load, particularly on mobile, if I'm looking at a blank screen where a picture is supposed to be, I'm going back to Google and I'm going to find someone else. Also, the days of cluttering up pages are over. You do not need to tell someone everything they need to know about you and all your products on your home page. Give it to them in little bites. Let them look for the information and follow the path to the information they're most interested in. And unreadable text on dark backgrounds. I know all those 19-year-old web designers think it's kind of cool to put white text on a blue background. But here's the truth. If your customers are older than 40, their eyes do not flex well enough for them to comfortably read that. So unless it is a big banner or a single call to action button, stay away from light text on dark backgrounds. The second thing and the second element of design that's really important is creating this logical path for visitors. Unclutter your navigation. If you don't, prospects will get lost. If there is confusing navigation, and what I kind of call this the file drawer mentality. Every time somebody has a new piece of information, they're like, hey, go ahead and put that on the website. And you don't know where to put it, so you do a drop down underneath something. And after a little while, your website becomes little more than a file cabinet, and I have to pull out drawers to look for things. Nobody can find anything in that format. And drop-down menus are a bear on social. The way that you overcome this is really streamlining your navigation and making sure that you tag and categorize pages so when someone searches, they can find all the relevant content. And make sure that you've got easy to find and complete contact information. If I'm going to do business with you, I want to know who you are and where you are. Okay, let's say we've cleaned up the design. It's beautiful. Your site looks beautiful. Now we want to be talking about what's on the inside. Common content mistakes and the kind of things that can really turn off your visitors. The first is you-centered content. I know this is your website, so you think it's about you. It's not. Your website is about your customers and your prospects. So go ahead and print out a page of content from your website. Have a red and a blue pencil in hand. And go ahead and circle every time you use first person terms. We, our, even the phrase our clients. Circle those in red. And then every time you use second person language, you, customers like you, your problem, your challenge, are you looking for help? Circle that in blue. And then do a little math. If there aren't twice as many references to your customers as there are to your company, you've got you-centered content. Go back, rewrite that content so it speaks to the customer. It tells them they have arrived in the right place. The other thing that will really turn people off is what I call stale content. Yeah, sure, you had a blog. It was a great idea. You did 5 posts 3 years ago, and you haven't done anything else since. You talk about new product launches for products that you've been in production 3 years ago. Not only will this turn off visitors, it may very well turn off search engines. Large blocks of content. You got a lot to say. There's a lot of information. Break it up. Have heads and subheads, bullet points and lists. Give the reader a way to catch their breath as they're scrolling through your page. And shallow content. I get to a page and there are 3 sentences and I think, really? I came all the way here for this? And the worst mistake are no resources or logical step. I've read to the bottom of the page. Now what? Always, always, always have a call now, join our list, sign up for a demo, watch a video, do something, read more on this topic. I don't care what you put there, but always have a next step. More content mistakes. We often see people showing off. Yes, you're very smart. I get that. You don't have to impress me with long answers when a short one will suffice. You don't have to use every piece of jargon that is specific to your industry or write like you're writing a paper for a master's degree class. The truth is that people are skimming when they come to your website, and you need to think about it the way newspapers do and write your content at about a 6th grade level. Make sure you always, always define your jargon and terms. Make your reader comfortable. And pay attention to grammar and spelling, and periodically check your links. Very often you're linking to a page that no longer exists. Don't disappoint your customers and prospects with a bad experience on a link. And who are you talking to? If you don't have a clear picture in your head as to who your target customer is, it's very hard to select the appropriate words and phrases. This is an example, I think, and it's from my industry, web developers. And these are all companies that actually I know and love. I think they're all good companies. Some do a better job of talking to their audience than others. In this first example, this guy is a freelance WordPress developer. He really wants to do design work for other companies, and so he talks about PSD to WordPress. The average business owner won't know what that is, but that's fine because he's not talking to the average business owner. I love this website. I think these guys really hone in with their words on who their target customer is. They are e-commerce digital marketing plan that will increase your sales and profitability. If I'm a business owner and I land on this page, I know why I'm there and what I'm going to get. Kudos, kudos, kudos to these guys. I think they did a great job of using words that will have real meaning for their prospective customers. Level up your website. I don't know anybody who lays awake at night hoping that they can level up their website. I don't think anyone knows what that means except the company. So this is a very internally focused tagline selling a service that customers aren't going to necessarily understand. Now, these guys are a great company. They do great work, but I don't think this messaging is as strong as increase your sales and profitability. This is not bad. Grow your revenue with inbound marketing and sales the smart way. Where I think they've made a mistake is they've highlighted smart rather than grow your revenue. Because what's really important to the perspective, from the perspective of the customer, is it that I get to be smart or is it that I get to grow revenue? Unleashing the creative potential in your people. Well, that's a nice message, but I'm really not sure what it has to do with web design. And again, I think these guys have kind of moved in a little different direction. They're doing much more strategic planning, and so that message is more relevant. But when someone comes to them for a web design, I think this one and this one are much stronger. And this last one is completely a different approach. 90% of B2B buyers say they never respond to cold outreach. Wow. Well, I certainly don't want that to happen when I connect with customers. How do I fix that? So this language is very in your face. It's very focused on fixing problems. So as you're looking at your homepage and your words, do this exercise. Pull up and look at half a dozen different websites of companies that do what you do. And read their first sentence, their first offer, and decide who you'd be most likely to buy from. And yes, you need a blog. There was a time at which I would approach customers and say, well, this would be nice. I'm past that. You have to be blogging, even if it's only once a week or once a month. And you have to be blogging for a number of reasons. You have to be blogging because it answers questions that your customers have, and you have to be blogging from an SEO perspective. So as you are thinking about your web redesign, think about how you are going to come up with 1 or 2, 500 or 600 word articles a month that help maintain your SEO, that answer questions your customers have. And I want you to say goodbye to irrelevance. And I'm going to show you several things that I think are now irrelevant on web design. Cheesy stock photography. You know, when we first started designing websites and we discovered we could put a picture on there with the text, we went to iStock and we got a handshake. Maybe it was the desperate single hand handshake, the 2 suits handshake, the muted I don't know who you are handshake, or the desperate here let me hold on to you. These do not add any value. They don't make me feel warm or connected. They're not professional. They are what they are, cheesy stock photos. There's also the ever-popular series of people writing on transparent walls. Unless you do this, don't do this. There's the we grow things. Unless your site is an agricultural site, it's time to let the plants go. And in case you're curious, grabbing a plant, pulling it up by the roots like this is going to kill it. And finally, fake people. If these people don't work for your company, don't put them on your website. I know, this is perfect. It's a nice age mix. It's great, multicultural, and they're all sitting around smiling, holding blank sheets of paper. They're not getting any work done. They're not fooling anybody. The other thing that is rapidly becoming irrelevant are sidebars. On desktop computers, the sidebars are nice because they give a little bit of balance to the website. But here's the problem. On mobile, the sidebar, if it's a right-hand sidebar, is going to drop to the bottom of the page. So if you're using it to promote an award that you've won, have a call to action, get someone to do something, the average person is never going to see it. We are seeing more and more websites that are moving to this kind of structure, because this is what it's going to look like on mobile. Information, call to action, more information. Instead of putting it in the sidebar on the desktop, they're just designing it knowing this is the presentation people are going to see. All right, we've talked about design and content. Let's take a look at conversion, because this is about when someone comes to your website, how do you capture their information and make sure that you can move them to the next step in your process. It starts with a button. It starts with an offer, and what that button or offer might be is going to vary based on who you are and what you're selling. Learn more, try, buy now, donate, free demo, schedule an appointment. It doesn't matter what the offer is, but there needs to be that offer. A couple of things to consider on your buttons, and we're actually going to talk more about landing pages if you join us for the 4th session in the series. You want your buttons to be bright colored, dramatic against the background. You want them to be highly readable and all caps. Keep them short, 2 to 3 words. Why are these conversion points so important? It has to do with the sales cycle. You meet someone, they come to your website, they are impressed with what they find, and so you want to entice them to stay in touch, and you do that with an offer. You engage with them, maybe you bring them back to your website, maybe you have social share buttons where you engage with them and then they get active on social talking about you, which drive more prospects. But it is this continuous loop. I meet you, we get connected, I send you more information, because when you downloaded, you gave me your email address. I sent you more information. We began the conversation and the sales cycle. Your website has to be a part of this process. I wish I could say that websites like this don't exist anymore, but they do. And the problem, well, there are a lot of problems with this website, but the biggest problem is I don't know what I'm supposed to do. I don't find these little hyperlinks way down here really don't pull my eye and drag me into the next step in the process. This one is a little better, but the problem here is that the most important thing on this website is the get a quote call to action. This is nowhere near as impressive as these buttons, which are simply links to organizations that she is a part of. This site was great in 2011, but it really doesn't do the job today. This is one of my favorite sites that we built, and it is because of how it's organized, because of how they thought about the process of converting. Hi, welcome to our website. Get a free demo. Not sure you want a free demo? Let us give you a couple of reasons why this software makes sense for you, and oh, by the way, get a free demo. So they are continually presenting opportunities for conversion. And you need to think about conversion on every page of your website, because every page is a landing page. So this is a homepage on a training site that we built, and there are a couple of different opportunities to go forward. But as you move through the website, you'll see, here are a list of our topics, request an invite. Here are the class schedules, reserve your seat. Every page on this site has a slightly different offer that makes sense based on where the visitor is. And even for people who have been all the way through the program and they get to the library, there are links to download, there's a video, and there's a sign up for more help further down the page. So go back and look at your website, because people don't always start at your home page. When we start looking at the analytics, you'll see that about half your traffic probably comes in through an interior page. And if that's the only page they go to, is there an appropriate next step? Here are just a few ideas on logical next steps. Blogs, white papers, self-assessments. People love quizzes and self-assessments. Reading a case study, registering for an event, subscribing to a newsletter. This is one of my favorites, but don't just have a button that says subscribe to the newsletter. Tell people what they're going to get when they sign up for the newsletter. Watch a video, listen to a podcast. Take a look at gallery, look at photos in the gallery or a portfolio. This is one of the most popular pages on one of our clients who sells carpet and flooring, and we have all of these items in the gallery, and you can mark your favorites and then schedule an appointment. And when you do, I know which products you were interested in. Create a user account, order products, schedule an appointment, apply for a job. The list is as long as you want to make it. It is as unique to your sales process as it needs to be. When you drive someone specifically to a landing page, maybe you have a download our free guide and they click on it. You want to give people information in little bites. You want to limit their choices. If your objective on sending them to a page about a particular worksheet is to get them to fill out their email address, don't present 5 different choices. Present one. Have really, they say no way out. The only thing you can do is hit the back button, because you came here, we've got an offer for you. You want to make sure that as I move through your website that you acknowledge different learning styles, that there are places where there are strong images or video or audio files, and other places where there's lots of written content or bulleted lists. And when someone fills out a conversion form, respond promptly. If I fill out a form for a demo, I should get an immediate email that says, hey, thanks for reaching out. We'd love to schedule a demo. Someone will be in touch with you shortly. Let me know that my request went somewhere. And finally, don't ask for too much. I often see people who are trying to set up demos or free trials, and they just ask for too much information and turn off prospective customers. Ask for a little bit, give me a little bit, and then you earn the right to ask for a little bit more. And just because you build it does not mean people will come. So how well designed is your website from the perspective of appealing to search engines? Because the best place to hide a dead body is on page 2 of Google. Common search mistakes: trying to shove too many keywords into the same page, having irrelevant tags or keywords. The page really isn't about wedding planning, but you decide you're going to tag that page for wedding planning. Not only will you annoy someone who comes to the page by mistake, you're going to annoy search engines. But they're essentially going to discount the value of the page. repetitive page titles, using essentially the same description on every single page. Remember, every page has got to have a unique purpose, and the title should speak to that. There should be a good meta tag that gives me a brief description of what the page is about. And there should be good slugs and headers that are related to the keyword that you're trying to get Google to notice you for. And what's known as inconsistent citations. And let's talk a minute about what a citation is. It is your address, phone number, and contact information. That information should be presented the same way on every page on your website. I've seen companies that have moved maybe one suite down and they forget to change the suite number on some of their pages. They forget to update their phone number. Or, and this is really a little nitpicky thing, on one page they spell the word street, S-T-R-E-E-T, and on another page they spell it S-T period. Now, as human beings, we know that those two things are the same, but search engines don't. They will view those as two slightly different variations and not give you as high a quality ranking for your pages. Other things that search engines really don't like anymore. One is what's called a frame structure. Today, almost all websites are being built with a cascading style sheet that is set up to tell Google, hey, this piece of information is the most important piece of information on the page. I know it appears 2/3 of the way down, but it's an H1, and it's important. Old content. If there's information that is out of date, update it or get rid of it. Unlabeled pictures. Something like 25% of all Google searches now are image searches. And if the photos on your website are titled Photo 1, Photo 2, as opposed to sleeping dog, sample, egg recipe, when someone searches for a sample of an egg recipe, you may have a fabulous recipe, but they won't find it. The other two things, duplicate content and thin content. There used to be a trick where people would put the same information on multiple pages on their website and just change the title. Indianapolis Heating and Air Conditioning, Carmel Heating and Air Conditioning, Zionsville Heating and Air Conditioning. But all the rest of the information was the same. Search engines are smarter now, and they recognize that as duplicate content and don't give you any credit for it. And the last thing is thin content. Google likes to see 400 to 600 words on a page. And if you're only putting 1 or 2 sentences, you really have to ask yourself, does this need to be a page? Search tips. As you are rewriting your content, and we're going to talk about this in a lot more detail tomorrow, but keep your keywords in balance. Use them several times throughout the page. Write like a human being. Do not say things like, this marketing plan description will focus on the elements that you need in your marketing plan. So if you're working on a marketing plan, be sure to download our copy of a marketing plan. No, human beings don't want to read that, and search engines don't want to read that. Have a purpose for every page. Have unique titles and meta descriptions. Frequently update your page and be sure that you have relevant links to more information that people might be interested in. And last but not least, control. Do you control your website? It's your business. It's your website. And here's how. Make sure you own your domain, you know your hosting passwords, and you have a plan for updates. I can't tell you how many people say to me, well, the guy that designed my website has all that information. Well, what happens if he gets hit by a bus? Or what happens if he just decides he doesn't want to be in the business anymore and walks away? I had a client who did not own her domain, her hosting company did, and when he got the renewal notification, he forgot to renew her domain. Her website went down. He had not backed it up, and we had to rebuild it from scratch. And I'm going to tell you that that was not a happy moment for anyone. Don't let that happen to you. Questions? Now's a great time. If you've got them, go ahead and put them in the footer for the program, or feel free to drop me a note at roundpeg.biz. And don't forget, there are more sessions in this series. We'd love to see you for all of them. Thanks for joining us today. Look forward to seeing you next time.